What up, boys? Just spilled a like half a cup of water. Just yeah, just just a little bit of everywhere. But yeah, I just threw a towel on it. I'm not dealing with it right now. just just whatever's getting wet is getting wet. Screw it. Oh no, I don't have those things back there, do I? Oh no. There's some pictures back there I want to grab. I think that's it though. Oh yeah, I think we're okay. It's fine. I just random. There's some paper plates, but can I save those? Maybe. Hold on. Sorry, this is a terrible introduction to the video. I think that's about it. I don't know. I'm not gonna get too into it. That's whatever. Not anything really worth saving. I do want to save those though. Just pictures of me and my son. Um, sorry about that. You know me. I don't do any editing, so we're just leaving this in. Uh, got a couple water drops on my screen. Great. Um, I think you can see my screen here. Hopefully you can. Yeah, you can. Okay, I I got sent a or a comment from a guy named Hop David, who actually I didn't even realize till just now. He actually replied. I'm on. Okay, I had to jump on a private tab, but yeah, he actually replied. You can go check out this video. This is the one with Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about fusion. It's a reaction to him, no pun intended. Uh, talking about fusion and ignition and stuff, and go check it out. It's kind of fun. I I've always had a lot to say about Neil deGrasse Tyson. I got another like I did a short. I had a short that I was actually a preview to this, and it just disappeared. I have no idea where it went. I'm not sure if it just got deleted or I don't because I didn't get a notification or anything about it. But um, I had a short talking about Neil's sort of explanation about how people in like the 1800s died. Like most of them died, or at least half of them died before they were 30, which is complete bullshit. Um, based on like his lack of an explanation about the average life expectancy and all that. Um, but I did this really long video. It was like over an hour about basically him talking about the nuclear National Ignition Facility. Let me see if I can get that right. At Lawrence Livermore. Lawrence Livermore. Wow, I can't. Sorry, I'm so flustered from everything that just happened. Now I'm just like, I'm on edge right now. And he he basically did the sort of pop science, thing about it, and I went through some of it, and you can look at this description here where I sort of explain a little more, and I went through a lot of stuff in the video. But anyway, I got a comment and talking about something else that Neil kind of got wrong when he was doing an interview with Bill Maher from Hop David. And Hop David also said, I have a list of stuff Neil gets wrong. This is from a blog post from January 2016. I don't know if he keeps it up to date or what. His bid on nuclear bombs is item 28. Ooh. So apparently a very long list. Um, puts always been one to put engagement and theatrics ahead of rigor and accuracy. Yes, and this is kind of what the point of my video was. I don't look. I like Neil. It's just he's always been sort of like the poor man's Bill Nye, and even Bill Nye was still sort of theatrical. He was even kind of, but he would generally he wouldn't he does go out and do interviews where he does get stuff wrong, and I'm sure if you go and look for that you could probably find it. But he was always sort of more the guy to do sort of like TV shows and stuff versus like go and do a bunch of like random interviews before he does like any research. And again, Bill Nye is a mechanical engineer. He's got I believe either was it a master's? I don't know if he has a PhD. I think he might have a PhD. Um, yeah, he's a mechanical engineer. I mean, like he knows what he's doing in a certain field, but he doesn't know all of science. And I think he got kind of put in that spot where he was expected to know pretty much everything someone asked. So if he's in an interview, you don't want to look bad in an interview, but Neil deGrasse Tyson has this sort of knack for sort of looking bad, like or not looking bad, but he wants to look good in an interview, and he doesn't want to look like he's wrong, and he will always. And I don't know if that how much of that goes to his arrogance versus like just looking like he is a scientist knows what he's talking about, because some people have a huge issue with science and how much it can has the potential to get wrong and how much scientists don't know. um so I don't know where that sort of where it really falls there, but um I yeah, I enjoyed. We had a very wasn't a long discussion here, but just sort of long comments. But we talked a little bit about nuclear fission versus fusion, and how nuclear fusion still involves nuclear fission. Neil did an interview about how fusion bombs don't have radioactive byproducts, which is complete bullshit. Of course they do, because they use fission to actually ignite. They don't. We haven't perfected fusion beyond well, we haven't perfected it beyond really fission bombs and making fusion bombs. Like we haven't done it really, except for naturally it's done through stars, which is gravitational, which is a form of inertial confinement. um but we haven't actually truly hit nuclear, like, fusion ignition on Earth. We just haven't been able to do it. So except for fusion bombs, which are ignited by fission bombs, so they still have radioactive byproducts. But anyway, so we were talking about how sort of Neil gets stuff wrong here. He has a list of things where he's sort of lacking. Um, and I figured we'd go over here. I've got it pulled up. We can go over here and look at his list. This is Hop's blog of sorry, a little burp there. Uh, couldn't help myself. Of things that Neil deGrasse Tyson has been wrong on. Oh wow. So this is a long list. Okay. Oh, 28. Oh, wait, did he just add this, or was oh no, he did. No, 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 no. Okay. So he said he had this on there already. Okay. All right. So we may get to we might not get to number 28. That's it's just by looking at the scroll bar over here. This is a long page. Um so we got here though. Idiot doctors. Okay. Well, that's interesting coming from someone who is is a doctor, I believe. Well, a PhD. Uh, so amazing meeting videos. What is amazing meet? That sounds familiar. Amazing meeting. Uh, I'm not gonna watch like all this right now, but I'm just gonna kind of try and let me try and zoom in here. Try and read through this a little bit. For some of the video, Tyson argues surviving cancer can't demonstrate divine intervention. I'm fine with that. Yeah, sure. I'm not a religious person, so I don't take things that are against the curve as being miraculous. Like I know some people do, and that's fine. You can believe what you want. Um, Second half of the video is a clueless rant against idiot doctors, the AMA, and pre med students. Oh no. Oh, Neil, what have you done? What have you done? A doctor doesn't just tell a patient, quote unquote, you've got 6 months. Rather, a patient is given statistics on people in a similar condition, kind of like the weather. When they say there's a 30% chance it's going to rain, 30% chance of precipitation, that means given 30 out of 100 examples of the same conditions, it's rained 30 times. Or yeah, 30 times. So I was going to say 33%. Yeah, that'd be 33%. Um, but yeah, so it's a statistical thing, right? So it's not. So a patient lives longer than the norm. Does this make the doctor an idiot? No. It demonstrates there are statistical outliers in the bell curve, or a bell curve. It is astonishing. It, it is astonishing. I like that. That was a very dramatic pause. Astonishing that Tyson, the Physics 101 professor, unfamiliar with entry level statistics, I mean, statistics are hard, but bell curves aren't that difficult to understand. So, oh no. Mm, that's I mean, we watch a little bit of this. Let me just finish it up here. Also, Tyson, as well as the physics professor, seem to believe someone who's failed freshman physics would go on to med school. There are idiot physicists, I assure you. Oh, little sarcasm there, sir. Well-known skeptic, Dr. Novella. Oh, oh, Steve. Oh, oh, okay. That's Stephen Novella. Yeah, the Amazing Meeting. Okay, that's why that name sounded familiar. Okay, that makes sense. Dr. Novella called Tyson out on this. Let's go to those darn physicists. Novella noted, and I think he's a medical doctor if I'm not mistaken. Novella noted this was part of the keynote speech at TAM6, a 2008 conference for skeptics. Okay, yeah, that's why it sounded amazing. Sounded amazing. Sounded familiar. Dr. Novella thought it was an excellent lecture, except for the idiot doctor part. Oh no. Oh, Neil, why'd you have to go and fuck up the lecture? Oh, yeah, just one part. Just one part. This goes to show even self-proclaimed skeptics are happy to swallow falsehoods if they seem to support their personal prejudices. Also, from Tyson's Tam 6 speech was his Bush and star name story. Oh dear. Oh no. All right, let's check out a little bit of this here. Oh god, that's so loud. I don't know what
I
it
love
sounds like
the
for
talk
you.
we just had on medicine.
Oh, is that too loud?
I have a comment about that.
Oh,
Something I just
okay.
find
It might be all right.
astonishing, remarkable. I'm so impressed by this. Are you ready? Here's what happens. Someone is
So,
diagnosed.
3 minutes. Okay,
I'm,
that's not that
I'm
bad.
making up a very common example for the purposes of this explanation. Somebody's diagnosed with terminal cancer. The doctor says, you got 6 months to live. You say, you mind if I get a second opinion? Of course, go ahead. Go to a second doctor. You got 5 months to live. Go to a third doctor. 7 months to live. So basically, you're going to be dead in 6 months, plus or minus. Okay? What happens? You're alive a year later. Okay? You're alive 2 years later.
Science. I mean, like, what's his point there? Like, that's it. there. This happens all the time, and of course, Hop was saying here. This is due to statistics. It's just some people have a very poor outlook on their diagnosis, their prognosis, whatever you call it. Very poor prognosis. So it doesn't always work out. It depends on the scans. There's a lot of stuff involved there that can tweak that number, that expectancy for somebody that gets a diagnosis like that. Um, okay,
3 years later, the cancer's in remission. 5 years later, it's gone from your body.
yeah, it would depend on how easy it is to treat, how quickly you can get it treated, how much money you can afford to put toward that treatment. There's a lot of things involved here. Um, but yeah, it isn't a guarantee. This is, like for instance, I've always heard rabies has 100% death rate, but there are people who have survived rabies, which is crazy. The brain-eating amoeba has 100% death rate, or like a very close to it. But there are a decent amount of people who have now survived it because we have changed medicine, and those statistics will get updated. So, it's just can cancer is cancer is a whole beast of its own. That's a well, there are like what hundreds, thousands of different types of cancers because there are hundreds or thousands of different types of cells in the human body that could become cancerous. So, yeah, it's very, and not just each type of cell, but there are different types of cancer for each different type of cell. So it's a very complicated thing. There's not just like one cure for cancer, as people like to say. But if you could find one general cure for cancer, you wouldn't just be rich. You would be like king of the fucking world. I mean, Anyway, sorry, going a little too far into it.
You happen to have been a religious person, and over that time you were praying. People were praying for you. Here's what's astonishing is that if you are that person, you are more likely to believe that God
Hopefully that doesn't get too
cured
loud for you.
you, this invisible force, creator of the universe, cured you, than that you had 3 idiot doctors diagnose you. I am astonished by this fact.
Sorry,
Diagnose you.
say that again. Say that again.
Than that you had 3 idiot doctors diagnose you. Astonishing.
Sorry.
Is that if you are that person, you are more likely to believe that God cured you, this invisible force, creator of the universe, cured you, than that you had 3 idiot doctors diagnose you.
Now, I don't know where it's going from here. I feel like I've heard this or seen this before. Um, it I don't know if he's talking from the perspective of the patient because the patient, of course, if they survive past their expected, the prognosis or whatever, yeah, they might think the doctors are all idiots, and or they might just think that they're amazing. They might think they're like, they're the one that like Neo or something. But I yeah, people will often find answers in religion or like faith or supernatural sources much easier to buy into than something scientifically based because science tends to be very numeric, tends to be very statistical, tends to be very hard fact sort of thing, versus you might just survive. You know what I mean? Like the doctors are just trying to be realistic. Uh, and if you're the person who's looking to a higher power and okay, I'm getting too into the weeds here. I'm sorry.
I am astonished by this fact. The American Medical Association, is that what they call it, AMA? Has got
AMA.
to be
Yep.
the most powerful organization in the world because no one questions those diagnoses.
Well, I've heard of people. Again, I'm getting too far off base here. I've heard of people actually getting upset at their oncologist because the oncologist has given them a certain length of time. Like, hey, you have like a year to live, and that person goes and takes that as fact and gets their affairs in order, sells their house, does all this stuff and gets kind of like the end of the world kind of people, gets everything in order, and then it comes and they're like, Wait, I'm still alive. What's going on here? Am I gonna die?" Like, and then they don't die, and then their cancer goes into remission, and then they get really mad at their oncologists or their doctors because they told them they were gonna die. They kind of came to terms with it, and it's very upsetting. I can absolutely see that, but at the same rate, uh, maybe doctors should be a little more realistic uh, about. And I look. I've never had cancer, so I don't know. I don't know what doctors say to their. I feel like doctors a lot of times will be very upfront. They kind of want to kind of rip the band-aid off. They want to be like, hey, you're probably gonna die. Like, like this is sort of a terminal illness, that kind of thing. Uh, very good chance you could die within the next year, that kind of thing. So I yeah, it certainly can be very jarring to hear that, to follow that sort of advice or medical advice, whatever, and then survive and then think, wait, why did you tell me that? I was waiting to die. Like I don't know. Anyway,
They'll credit whatever else was going on because they were sure they were going to die. And I can tell you this, I taught physics to pre-med students who became doctors. Not all of them are smart. I assure you.
Okay. Well, oh, oh, okay. He really hammered it home there. Okay. It's, yeah. Okay. I almost saw his point where he was saying that people will tend to buy into the supernatural if they believe in it because the doctors told them that they were almost certainly going to die, whereas they went home and for instance prayed to God or did something and they didn't die, and it's like, okay, well, the doctor told me I was going to die and he couldn't do anything for me. I prayed to God and I lived and I didn't die. So who was right? You know what I mean? I got he had me there for a minute. Now he's and I okay. I'm going to give Neil some credit here. I can kind of see where he's going with this. Is in like some medical students, some of them they're you got to remember medical students, doctors, they tend to be nerds. Like you got to remember that these are scientists. These people are the medical doctors. People tend to hold them in a different regard from other doctors, other people who are experts in their field, some sort of scientific field. But they're just as nerdy as the other guys. They just have to communicate with people because they have to tell people stuff a lot, and it's not all of them have a great bedside manner, but a lot of them are taught that in school. It is part of their training, so they kind of have to deal with that. So it's a yeah, I'm not fully against him yet. I see where he's going with this, so I'm like, I kind of.
Not only that, they're all trained in the
But then again, not every scientist and whatever is going to have the charisma of Neil deGrasse Tyson, you know. So I come on, have a little compassion there for sure.
same system. So, three separate doctors that all went through the same system of medical schools, that's not actually three different opinions. It's the same opinion, just nuanced by what the person had for breakfast that morning. It's not three different.
That's well, oh God, okay, that. Oh. Now we're getting into the statistics part of this. Yeah, the statistical outliers on a bell curve. I yeah. I I could see why this was upsetting. I think like I said, I think Steven Novella is an actual medical doctor, so he probably took this a little personally for sure. Like it's uh like yeah, they're not just idiots. Like they're telling you what they can tell you. Like it's not, their fault. Oh,
Opinions. Now, just to confirm this,
to be fair,
there's a colleague of
son
mine
of a bitch.
in the front row.
Get, get, get,
Have you
get. I was, yeah. I, I was on board with Neil there for just like most of that. I was on board with Neil. I was like, okay, I kind of see where he's going with this, and then he kind of took a little bit of a dive there.
taught physics to pre-medical students? You have not, so you don't. I don't have.
Who's he
It's not
talking to?
three different opinions. Now, just to confirm this, there's a colleague of mine in the front row. Have you taught physics to pre-medical students? You have not, so you don't. I don't have a second opinion on what this is. But so,
Okay, Neil can be pretty funny. I'll give him that. He's very quippy. I'll give him that.
I'm just impressed that it's impossible for people to think that they just had idiot doctors diagnose them, or that it was a diagnostic failure.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Oh, all right. So this is the first one. This is okay. So I like again. Neil tends to have this sort of flair for the dramatic, and this is a good introduction to it. It's not. He's not. I see where he's coming from, but you kind of have to. I think in his mind, you're already on board with his train of thought, and not everybody's going to be. So it can, yeah. All right. So, okay. So let's move on from there. President Bush and star names. I this seems to be. Oh, Michael Moore. Oh shit, I haven't seen Michael Moore in a while. Um, I'm gonna move on from this one because I don't know what this one is. This degenerate system makeup. I mean, is this a is this like science related or is this star names? But I don't see. Wait, I don't see. Okay, so I see a lot of. There's a lot of different shit in here. I don't see anything necessarily related to science. I could be wrong on that. If I am, correct me. Um, Botched a Bush quote. Okay, I mean, this seems to be more of like him discussing politics. But I'm confused on the star names. Where does that? Where do stars come into this? Like just skim through this, and I'm like, I don't see the. Hold on. Let's just. All right,
I'm also troubled
let's
by
play a minute and a
not
half.
what Senator McCain says, but what members of the party say. And it is permitted to be said such things as, well, you know that Mr. Obama is a Muslim. Well, the correct answer is he is not a Muslim. He's a Christian. He's always been a Christian. But the really right answer is, what if he is? Is there something wrong with being a Muslim in this country? The answer is no. That's not America. Is there something wrong?
By the way, that's Colin Powell. That's a Republican Secretary of State. Secretary of State, right? Yeah, I think Secretary of State under George Bush. Uh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being a Muslim. In fact, I know Sufi Muslims tend to be some of the most peaceful people you'll ever meet. But um, I don't. You can read through this if you want. I just don't. This is not really a scientific thing, so I'm not going to jump into that. Ghazali, math is the work of the devil. The Bush quote confabulation segues into a non-existent Hamid Ghazali Al Ghazali quote. Hamid Al Ghazali was a Muslim cleric that supposedly ended the Islamic Golden Age. According to Tyson, said that math was the work of the devil. I mean, let's be real. Math is kind of the work of the devil, right? Am I right? I mean, no. I I no, I think so. This article is called this list here. It's called fact checking. So I don't know that it's necessarily scientific, like specifically scientific fact checking. So Neil is very outspoken on many things. Um, so I don't know. I don't know much about math, and I mean I know a little bit about math, but not that much. Um, so I'm not going to pretend to know anything about that. Uh, Here's okay. This is okay. Newton just stops when he cedes his brilliance to God. Okay. Tyson's false history on Newton comes in two parts. The first part is actually flattering to Newton. Tyson claims Newton accomplished decades of collaborative efforts in just 2 months on a lark. I like that. I like that phrase on a lark. But then Tyson uses his exaggeration of Newton's accomplishments to slam the great man. Tyson claims that Newton could have easily done the Laplace's trait de mécanique céleste. Is that on the movements of the stars, the mechanics of the stars, the work on the mechanics of the stars, something like that? I don't know French. I think it's French. In an afternoon, but supposedly Newton just stopped when he ceded his brilliance to God. Oh dear. I mean, Newton was a religious man, but he was like the dude. Newton was like he was a badass scientist. He very much. Oh man, I don't know. Oh god, I can only imagine what's going on here. Mm. Um, the last part makes me angry. Yeah, that's Newton did not just stop and claiming Newton's faith hindered him. It was Newton's faith that sustained his passion for inquiry. Fair. In the following, I look at each of these claims. About an hour into his TAM 6 lecture, Tyson portrays Newton as a superhuman, saying Newton invented calculus on a dare. What? On a dare? I don't think I've ever heard that before. I don't know if I saw his whole Tam 6 lecture. I'm not sure, but invented it on a dare. He invented calculus out of necessity. Am I on a dare? What? Um, Tyson frequently makes this claim and often says it took Newton 2 months to establish this branch of mathematics. Well, no. And then there's this awesome looking chart. It, uh, hold on. What am I looking at here? It looks awesome, but I'm not sure what the fuck I'm looking at. So, whoa. Okay. So Newton, what is that like? I'm guessing that, okay, so like there's no like intermediate numbers, so I can't really do it. Like 1640 to 1705 ish, 1710. I don't know. Now he was also working on it at the same time as Leibniz, but uh oh yeah, there's Leibniz down there. Wait, what are they? Oh, are these their ages? Okay, well, wait, I'm confused. I'm a little confused. Hold on. 2,000 years before Newton, X Exodus was slicing into small. No. Oh, Eudoxus was slicing into small. Wow. Sorry, that, that name threw me off. Eudoxus. What is that? Oh, is that okay? Wait, is that Greek or is that Latin? Eudoxus. Eudoxus. Sounds actually it sounds Greek and Latin at the same time. Diophantus. I believe. Okay, I think that was Greek, right? Archimedes was also Archimedes was Greek, right? But the U.S. makes me think it's like Latin. So like, is it like Roman? No, is it? Wait, hold on. Actually, I don't know. I've actually never heard of Eudoxus. Eudoxus of I don't know how to say that. Ancient Greek. Okay, okay. Ancient Greek astronomer, mathematician, doctor, and lawmaker. He was a student of Wow, Here's another person I've never heard of. And Plato. Okay, I've heard of Plato. Preserved in Hipparchus's commentaries on the phenomena of Aratus and Eudoxus. Wow. Okay. All right. Huh. So I'm assuming okay, slicing stuff into small bits to get more accurate approximations of volume and area. Basically, that's basically what calculus does. It sort of gives you an approximation based on smaller and smaller slices, kind of ad infinitum, if you will. Uh, which I think that's Latin, so it doesn't really apply to Greek. But these methods were well known when Descartes and Fermat invented analytic geometry, also known as graph paper with an x and y axis. All right, you cheeky bastard. Uh, with this invention, y equals x squared became a parabola, x squared plus y squared equals 1 became a circle with radius 1. Descartes' way of looking at things enabled us to scrutinize conic sections and other curves with symbolic algebra. I don't know what's symbolic algebra. Does that mean like, well, like x and y? Is that what that means? I don't know what that means. I know what algebra is, but after Descartes and Fermat invented analytic geometry, it was only a matter of time before someone used Eudoxus-like methods to get good approximations of the slope of a curve or the area under a curve, which is where calculus really, that's where it really took off. That was what everybody was trying to figure out, which was done by Fermat and Cavalieri, among others. A screen capture, I don't know who Cavalieri is either. A screen capture of the history of the differential from 17th century. Differential is one type of calculus. Wait, a screen capture from history of the differential using. Oh, this whole thing. I thought for a second I thought this was like this is the history of the differential right here. Everyone falls on this curve. Like, whoops. Sorry. I'm not really a math person. I know a little bit, but I'm not. Algebra is probably my biggest thing. I love algebra. I can do a little bit of trig, but not. I calculus. I kind of dropped out of it before I got into all that shit. But I was just thinking, like, this is everybody's under the curve in calculus. Sorry. So for Ma wishes to find another blah 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 blah. You can read all that if you want. Okay, so the point here is basically that what is the point here? I kind of lost the point. I'm sorry. Okay, so the point was that supposedly Neil said that he did it in 2 months on a lark, and then on a dare. I guess does on a lark mean on a dare? I thought on a lark meant like just out of just because just like out of nowhere you just kind of did your thing. On a dare would be kind of I thought a different thing, but I could be wrong on that. You know what? Let's look it up. Look it. Science. On a lark. Maybe it does mean on a dare. I'm not sure. On a lark means to do something spontaneously and for fun and without serious intent or planning. Yeah. So, well, I guess that it can kind of fall into line with on a dare, but on a dare means that somebody challenges you to something. So it's sort of doing it really just out of nowhere. Whereas on a dare would mean someone challenged you to do it, and you're like, all right, fuck you, I'll do it. It's- okay. Uh, all right. So we're basically walking through. This is not just Newton. He's what do they say? Standing on the shoulders of giants. I mean, I've never heard of that. I've heard of Diophantus, but I don't know his exact work. But Eudoxus, I've never really heard of. But okay, so then you've got other people who are, of course, Leibniz, whatever you pronounce it, right around the time of Newton. All these guys kind of working, as one unit to sort of over the course of thousands of years to figure out this problem, which is generally the case. Of course, you got Euler figured out pretty much everything. I mean, Euler's a fucking, he's a boss. I mean, come on. I may not be a math person, but I know Euler, dude. Let's see here. We got the so he's doing the father of calculus. This kid had a lot of daddies. Oh no! All right. All right, you cheeky son of a bitch. A more sensible question would be, what was Newton's contribution to this group effort? Group effort. Um, Thony Christie paints a more accurate picture. The development of calculus was a collaborative effort of many, and it didn't take 2 months. Yeah, of course not. Neil, of course, he loves exaggeration. Christie elaborates on this in his essay, The Wrong Question. Certainly, Neil acknowledges that Newton built his models on the work of others. One of his defenders told me Newton himself said he could see far because he was standing on the shoulders of giants. Oh, there we go. I love that phrase. Standing on the shoulders of giants. Nope. Tyson tells us Newton did it all by himself. Oh, God. Oh, no. We're going to have to watch this video, and goes on to say if he could see farther than others, it's because he's standing among midgets. No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. No. Oh, Neil, you no. No, no, no. Oh. That's embarrassing. Okay. I whenever we read or watched before, this now I'm embarrassed. Th- w- Oh wait, I think wait, and then he turned 20. Oh, is this where he says he invents like he figures out gravity, calculus, optics, and all that shit, and then he turned 20. Is this the video? Oh, okay. That's funny. Okay. All right. Oh man. Goes on to say if he could see farther than others, it's because he's standing among midgets. Oh, Neil. It's not even like the term midgets. I know some people think that's kind of offensive, but little people, whatever. Um, Not the point. That's not the point. The point is like, God, what? Like you can't give any credit to anyone but Newton for calculus. Like, I, I know he probably came up with his own sort of notation for it, I believe, but it was because Leibniz had a slightly different notation for it, if I remember correctly. I may not remember correctly there, so don't quote me on that. But oh, good lord. Okay, here we go. Let's watch this. It's only 2 minutes. Let's just make it. No, that might not be good enough. Screw it. It's kind of fuzzy.
Isaac Newton. I mean, just you read his writings. Hair stands up on. I don't have hair there, but if I did, it would stand up on the back of my neck. You read his writings. The man was connected to the universe in ways that I've never seen another human being connected. It's kind of spooky, actually. He
That's fair. Newton did a lot of shit. No, he wasn't. I mean, he wasn't near like there was plenty. If you look at the guy who um, first calculated Big G, which was not Newton, by the way, the guy who calculated Big G originally, they actually found it later on. He never published because he was a very very weird guy. Um, I'm gonna get his name wrong. Oh no, I'm gonna get his name wrong. I'm gonna. Oh, Cavendish. Cavendish, I believe. Hold on. Uh, Cavendish, Big G. Let's see. Did I get that right? Henry Cavendish. Is that right? Yeah. Henry Cavendish. Well, okay. Fuck you, AI. Henry Cavendish was the first experiment to measure the force of gravity between masses in the laboratory, and the first to yield accurate values of the gravitational constant, which is otherwise known as Big G. Yes, Cavendish was the guy. I mean, and Newton didn't steal his work. It was just he wasn't the only person thinking about this kind of stuff. So there were people who were already thinking like, "What the fuck is going on here?" But yeah, like I understand what he's saying here. Newton was a he did a lot of shit. He was a very smart guy. I mean, he did a lot of shit. So I'm no discredit to Newton at all, but he wasn't the only guy. I mean,
discovers the laws of optics, figures out that white light is composed of
this
colors.
is
That's
this
kind of
is the
freaky
video.
right there. If you take your colors of the rainbow, put them back together, you get white light again. That freaked out the artists of the day. How does that work?
I've
Red,
seen this
orange,
clip.
yellow, green, blue, violet gives you white. The laws of optics, he discovers the laws of motion and the universal law of gravitation. Then a friend of his says, well, why do these orbits of the planets, why are they in the shape of an ellipse, sort of flattened circle? Why aren't they some other shape? And he said, I don't know. I'll get back to you. So it goes home, comes back a couple months later. Here's why. They're actually conic sections of a cone that you cut. And they said, well, how did you find this out? How did you determine this? Well, I had to invent integral and differential calculus to determine this. Then he turned 26.
Oh, yeah. So that's where this meme comes in. Um, uh, it's also bull from start to finish. Why doesn't he just shut up? Thony C. Oh, WordPress 2017. Wow, these guys have been looking into this guy for a while. All right, I'm looking at the URL down there. Let's click over here and see what this is. Oh God. Okay. And NDGT is his chemical symbol. Probably the most influential science communicator in the world spends a lot of time spouting out the message that learning science allows you to detect better bullshit or to better detect bullshit. Sorry, wow, don't know why I read that wrong. Charlatans, fake news, etc., etc. However, apparently doesn't enable you to detect bullshit in the history of science, at least judging by NDGT's own record on the subject. Not for the first time. I was tempted recently. Holy crap! To throw my computer through the window. Through the window. Upon witnessing Neil's pontificating on the history of science. Oh God. Okay. And here's the quote from that video, and that's a portrait of Newton there. Very esteemed guy. Wait, that's Newton, right? Or is that Leibniz? Is that Newton or is that Leibniz? I'm gonna look like an idiot. Is that Newton? I feel like that's Newton. Is that Newton? Yeah, okay, okay, I was in Newton. All right, yeah. That's what I thought. That could have been Leibniz. I mean, either way, I think they both looked with the wigs and all looked, you know. All right. Anyway, So okay, so you can see here Neil making sort of an ass out of himself again. Amongst people that know sort of what he's talking about, I don't know all the history of all that stuff, so I couldn't tell you all that. I mean, I'm sure I've seen this video before, and I probably took it at face value. It's very compelling, and I'll give you that. As far as a communicator, Neil is very compelling, and this is true. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. But he's also not necessarily a science communicator, or maybe the better term is a science communicator or scientific communicator. He doesn't communicate the actual science part of it, or even how to critically think through stuff that well. Which I guess that's kind of a fault on me there for kind of buying into whatever he said there. But yeah, yeah, as you can see this meme here, I don't know that I've ever seen that before, but I do remember this clip.
Then you turn
That's
26. We've got people slogging through calculus in college just to learn what it is that Isaac Newton invented on a dare, practically.
on a dare, on a dare, on a dare. Oh, that's rough. Okay. Uh, oh, this supposedly happened in just 2 months before Newton turned 26. This dare was a friend's question on planetary orbits. It was Halley, Ed, Edwin Halley, I think his name was, asked this famous question on planetary orbits in 1684 when Newton was in his 40s, and there's a link to that. So yeah, if you want to look into all this yourself, I'm not going to click through all these links and read all this. The point was to kind of just we're only on, I don't even know what the hell number we're on. Uh, More transcendentals than irrationals. Wait, whoa, wait. Okay, I said I don't know that much about math, but I okay, hold on. In an interview with Joe Rogan, Tyson asserts there are more transcendental numbers than irrationals. Did he really? Did he really? All right, so I can give you a good definition of irrational. I can't give you a good definition of transcendental, but an example of that would be pi. I believe E is also a transcendental number. Um, what's another transcendental number? The golden ratio, I think, is a transcendental number. There, there are definitely not as many transcendentals as there are irrationals. I can almost say that with certainty. I couldn't. The only way I could probably prove that to you without actually explaining it is you've heard of an irrational number, right? Pi is an irrational number, but how many irrational numbers do you know basically numbers that can't be expressed as a fraction or as a ratio? How many of them do you know that are also transcendental numbers? 'Cause I don't know many transcendental numbers. I know there are probably an infinite number of them, but I don't think there are more irrationals than transcendentals. In fact, the number may be equal because of the fact that they are both non-countable infinites. I'm pretty sure, but or they might be countable. They're not countably infinite. They can't be. The transcendentals can't be countably infinite. I don't think. But I know there are. So it's kind of like fruits and vegetables. Okay, so God, this wow, that threw me there. I wasn't expecting this. So, uh, so every fruit is a vegetable, but not every vegetable is a fruit. You know, every dolphin is a whale, but not every whale is a dolphin. If that makes sense, you can look that up if you want. That's all true. Uh, every transcendental is an irrational, but not every irrational is a transcendental. Which means there cannot possibly be more transcendentals than irrationals because all transcendentals are irrationals. So how can there be more of there can't be more fruits than vegetables because all fruits are vegetables and there are more vegetables that aren't fruits that are still vegetables. Like, oh shit, that lot. I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting that. That threw me for a loop. Okay, let's read through this. Holy shit. He also tells Joe there are five cardinalities when it comes to infinite sets. I honestly don't know what the fuck that means. Was this a fluke? Maybe no, just misspoke. I think misspoke has two S's. I might be incorrect on that. But Tyson gives a similarly confused account in an interview with Dazed and Confused magazine. Oh, Dazed and Confused magazine. What Neil? What are you? He must be high half the time. Honestly, he's like, it's like that's the only way you could kind of fuck the hell that kind of shit up. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on there. You know how numbers you can count them forever. This is the quote. You know how numbers you can count them forever. Well, how about fractions? The infinity of fractions is bigger than the infinity of numbers. That is true. And then there are transcendental numbers like pi. There are more transcendental numbers than pure irrational numbers. I I don't think that's true. Now, is he talking about what does that mean, pure irrational numbers? Because transcendental numbers are still pure irrational numbers. Is that a technical term? I, and there are more irrational numbers than counting numbers, which would, and more fractions than all of. What the fuck does that? Oh, dude, he got high before that interview for sure. What the fuck? Oh, that okay. I thought I thought this was bad, but like this quote is wild. This is the kind of shit I wish I would read when I was high. Holy shit. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. There's but irrational numbers are still but fractions but like I mean uh, all right, I'll leave that up to you guys. I am not I'm not a math person, so I'm not going to get into that. That is 5 centuries regressed. Oh God, what could this be? Is the Earth flat or round? Oh no! This silly argument between Tyson and rapper B.O.B. Bread or bed or breakfast? What does B.O.B. mean? I've never heard of B.O.B. Apparently he's a rapper. Generated a great deal of publicity for B.O.B. Tyson and Tyson's nephew. Part of the exchange, Bob Addy, Bob ATI, Bob Addy. Dude, to be clear, being 5 centuries regressed in your reasoning doesn't mean we all can't still like your music. Uh, wait, what? Who's Bob Addy? Is that B.O.B. or is that can't be Tyson? That's not Tyson. Is that his nephew? I'm not sure. Supposedly, folks during the Dark Ages thought the Earth was flat. Well, that's not true. Sadly, Tyson's perpetuating this myth. I mean, that may have been a thought. The Earth being flat may have been a thought. Well, it's a kind of a thought today, which is really stupid. And they've actually disproven themselves so many times over. It's ridiculous. But that may have been a thought like thousands upon thousands of years ago when people didn't have access to boats and tides. I don't even know. How do you not notice that the Earth is probably round in some way? I don't know. Like because like you would notice because the tides and the horizon and all that. Like you would notice this stuff pretty early on. But like even what was the guy's name? I'm gonna get this wrong. Eratosthenes thought like did the whole experiment with the sticks and the shadows. Like I and that was like ancient Greece, I believe. So, oh God, come on, Neil. What are we doing here? What are we actually doing? Testing misperception of the Dark Ages, a common error, well summarized in the chart, quote unquote, the chart. What do we got here? Scientific advancement, the hole left by the Christian Dark Ages. I mean, that's not unfair for sure. Uh, yeah, and that's mainly because Christians would persecute people that didn't follow the church. That's a lot of that is Catholics, Catholicism. They really didn't like people that didn't follow the Catholic Church. It's unfortunate, but and now the Catholic Church has observatories and like promotes like like theories about aliens and shit. So you know, we've moved well past that. So, like, uh, let's see here. Okay, so yeah, I would hope that you all know that that's wrong. That the people in the Dark Ages didn't think. Well, the Christian Dark Ages, I don't know exactly, but I mean, maybe I have no idea what they believed back then. But people for a long time have known. I don't know about the Egyptians, but the Greeks for sure knew the Earth was round. The Egyptians probably because they were on they were the waterborne people. But as far as like the globe theory, I'm not or the globe model, I'm not quite sure where they were on that, but I know the Greeks for sure, and they definitely had that idea. The Roman Empire they just followed after the Greeks, so of course this section here I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Um, all right, moving on. The Eiffel Tower was the first structure taller than the pyramids. I have no idea on that one. That very well could be true. I'm guessing it's not because wait, blind as a bat. Neil, you didn't. If Batman wants so badly to be a bat, he might be more intriguing if, like Marvel's Daredevil, he were also blind like a bat. Wow, that might be the most egregious thing he said so far. Um, because bats, oh, I don't think there's any bat that's actually blind or actually has really bad eyesight. Honestly, they just happen to use a different type of location or the echolocation. They use that to find insects because it works better in the dark than sight, but they can still see. Uh, they don't have like night vision, but they're not blind. Oh, Neil. Oh, Neil. Oh, Neil. Oh, no. Mm, that was a yawn that I just gave. Holy crap. It's already. All right. Let's get through this. Actually, I don't have to be up for work tomorrow because my son is off school. So, and I am just kind of chilling here tomorrow because fuck it. So we're going to stay up a little late tonight and he is asleep already. So, fuck it. Yeah, that. Oh, I love the Martian. We'll we'll get to that. Okay. This is pretty short. Tells you where the Eiffel Tower is the first structure taller than the pyramids. Here, let's.
What is the next tallest thing we built? Stable structure after the pyramids.
What?
The Eiffel Tower, late 1800s in
Oh.
Paris.
Was that cut or was that was very direct, right? Hold on.
Built stable structure after the pyramids.
What?
The Eiffel Tower, late 1800s in Paris.
I don't know that that was cut. It looks like whoever put this video to University um, may have cut it with the pictures and stuff, but I'm guessing that was just a straight pull from the interview there. Assuming it was. Uh, Here's Wikipedia's list of the tallest buildings built for the 20th century. Can we? I'm kind of worried that it's not, and I don't want to do this because oh, I already don't want to go too far. Why Neil hates parsecs, dude? I Your channel's called Star Talk, man. You hate parsecs? This was 2 months ago. I can't, Neil. I can't do this. I can't do this. Come on, Neil. I can't fucking do this, man. Fuck. All right. I was gonna. All right. You know what? Never mind. Let's just go. Let's just get through this. I was gonna go make sure that was the actual like full quote directly because it may have been cut there, cut together to make it a little more concise without doing any fact checking. Should I do it? What episode is this? Oh, you know what? Hold on. Yeah, let's fucking do it. Let's fucking do it. Let's do it. All right. Come on. We're fucking scientists over. I'm not a scientist, but we're scientists over here, right? Neil deGrasse. Shit. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Explain. Hold on. deGrasse Tyson. Joe Rogan. Oh, Lord. I can't type. Okay. That's not the same shirt. Wait. Did he? Can you stop, please? Can you, can you, can you stop? Can you? Oh my God. Stop. Stop. I see the shirt, but is that the same? Is it the same shirt? Oh no, here we go. Here we go. This is the one. This is the one. Okay. I kind of love Joe Rogan. I mean I love him for his podcasting. He just sits there and smokes weed and just fucking listens to people talk. I know he's got there's a lot of crazy shit that he talks about all the time with some weird people and stuff, but I kind of love Joe Rogan. I remember him back on what was it called, Fear Factor, and I've always just kind of liked the guy, and then he just like one day said like, I really he went on a podcast. And he's just like, I really want to. What do you do? You just talk to people all day? The guy was just like, yeah. He's like, dude, I want to do that. And he just started like the most popular podcast in the entire world. It's like, holy shit! Like, I mean that's pretty amazing. I'll give Joe Rogan that credit where credit is due. Shit, what am I doing here? Oh, I can't. Is this only available on mobile?
So, why aren't there?
I can't look through. Oh, in this video. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I don't need a timeline. I was gonna use the AI thing. This might be too long. I might not be able to do this. Oh shit. Yeah, I was gonna look for the AI thing to make it tell me where the Eiffel Tower quote was. Carl Sagan. I'm gonna do a video about Carl Sagan, especially his book Contact soon. I love that. I just read it not that long ago. The actual book. I did watch the movie a while back, but the book had a whole different feel to it, and the ending I actually liked it. I liked the way they did the ending in the movie. I'll give them that, but they just kind of left it. But the book, the way it actually spoiler alert had to do with transcendental numbers. Uh, um, so yeah, it doesn't really give much away, but you should if you ever read Contact by Carl Sagan. Oh, great book. Really, the intersection of like religion, science, philosophy. It is quite interesting. He even mentions weed in that book. It's talks about like people selling weed in like France, I think. Which is kind of crazy for like a sci-fi book, but yeah, I heavily enjoyed that book, so you should definitely check it out. I read that actually after I read Project Hail Mary because I didn't hadn't read that since before the movie was created. Still haven't seen the movie, but the book was pretty good. I like The Martian, I think more, but Project Hail Mary was way more epic than The Martian. So as much as it kind of strayed a little bit away from science, like known science, it still it had a very good epic feeling to it. It's more like epic sci-fi. Like it was, yeah. I don't know that we're gonna find this before I get bored of scrolling here. Can I do like a control F Eiffel? Hey, look at that. The thing actually works. The thing did the thing. Look at that. All right, here we go.
After the pyramids.
I think it's a building in Dubai.
Sentence only barely came out of my mouth. The tallest thing humans built after the pyramids.
I think it's a building in Dubai.
No. So in other words,
He's talking about the Burj Khalifa, the right now the tallest building in the world, tallest structure in the world.
the
There to
next
now?
tallest thing after the pyramids?
Oh, right after.
Yeah. What is the next tallest thing we built? Stable structure after the pyramids.
What?
The Eiffel Tower.
Really?
Direct quote. Pulled it right out of there. All right. Sorry, I had to get a drink of that. The editing seemed a little weird, so I just wanted to make sure because this is just a short, little clip of that. But the way they edited in the images and all that, I just wanted to make sure that was a direct quote. So that's okay. So going back to that, are we? What are we looking at here? I'm a little over an hour right now. We might have to. We already did Blind as a Bat. We have to. Oh, we've got the Martian, uh, Hermes, Impossible Trajectory. So Hermes was the ship that took them between Earth and Mars orbit, I believe. The Impossible Trajectory. I'm not going to get into all that. We can kind of skim through some of this a little bit, but over an hour, we're already kind of pushing it for people's patience. Um, let's see. Oh, here's a list of. Whoops, I did that wrong. Here we go. List of. Okay, so this is by height. Where's the Great Pyramid? Okay, so this is the pyramid of Khufu, Khufu, Khafre. No, Khufu. No, okay, Khafre is Khafre is the second tallest of the Great Pyramids, and then the Great Pyramid is Khufu. That was the pharaoh who built it. There was one before that called the Red Pyramid. The Bent Pyramid was the one. It was kind of an experiment before the Red Pyramid, I believe. So yeah, the Great Pyramid, 481 feet. Of course, one of the seven ancient wonders. 481 feet, taller than that, 1874, and we're looking at the Eiffel Tower. Oh, the Eiffel Tower is well. This list is incomplete. Oh, this is a pre 20th century structure. Sorry, so before the 20th century started. Okay, so 1889. This was 986, and of course you can see the first one after this was 1874. So clearly debunked right there. Germany, United Kingdom. Here's a cathedral. So this is so that's probably a cathedral. The church. Okay, cathedral. Church, cathedral, cathedral. So cathedral. Oh, holy shit! Look at that. This is a church. I get maybe a cathedral. I have no idea. Uh, holy shit! Look at that. That is beautiful. Holy fuck! Look at that architecture. That's insane. And I guess so. This tower part here goes to. That's insane looking. Is that okay? That's scaffolding. So that some of this might not be part of the that looks like scaffolding. So that might be like a renovation type thing. But still, like look at this intricate shit up here. That's crazy. It looks like it has little. It looks like that's a cell phone tower up there. I may be wrong about that, but probably. Uh, um, that's a really sick looking cathedral, though, or church, whatever it is. Uh, wow, holy shit. So I guess the worst part about this, honestly, is the Eiffel Tower, which this is, pre 20th century, so this is, within the 1900s or 1800 era. Um, the worst kind of part about the most egregious thing about that, I think, because the Eiffel Tower is tall as fuck. This is the tallest thing built pre 20th century for sure, by like a long shot. But the Eiffel Tower was just built to be a tower. It doesn't serve any other purpose. Lattice Tower, Gustav Eiffel. Yeah, I mean, it's not like a church. It's not, I guess you could call it a monument because the Washington Monument is there too. Pretty tall, but I mean, like a lot of these other things are actually, you could say that a church or cathedral doesn't serve a purpose. I guess if you want to say that, but there are going to be people inside of that. Like there are people inside the Eiffel Tower, but they're on like an elevator. They're on like some decks, just kind of viewing. It's just a viewing tower, an observation tower. These aren't, that isn't like like a significant sort of building. It's just a tower. It's just tall to be tall, which okay. A lot of these other things are actually churches. Most of them are just churches. Here's a pagoda in China. That's, wow, that's pretty cool. I've never seen that before. Oh, whoa, what? Whoa, holy, wait, what? Wait, I, oh, oh, that's the base. Holy shit! I thought it was like inside of there for a second. Oh my god, wait, what am I looking at? Oh, this is. Oh, okay. This is a okay hypothetical model reconstruction. So this isn't the actual. When was this built? Oh, really early on. Okay, burned to the ground at 5:34 after being struck by lightning. Oh, yeah, that sucks. That's what you get for not using concrete and steel. A lot of wood and cardboard over there in China. Not cardboard, but you get what I mean. It's a lot of that stuff back then. Yeah, wow. This was a yeah, a lot of wood in this structure here. That I'm guessing was not meant to be a lightning rod, but I'm sure it acted like a very much like a lightning rod. Oh boy, that is, dude. If that's what that looks like, even if it looked half as good as this, that's amazing. That's crazy. So now I understand why the first picture was just a hole in the ground because it's pretty much a hole in the ground now. Uh, okay. Well, can you? Okay, there we go. So this is like the site of where it was. Holy shit! I mean, just from this, it just looks big. Then you got this huge square around it. That's impressive. Holy shit! All right, cool. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of these like actual functional structures was my point. Whereas, and the Great Pyramid was even a structural or functional structure because a structural function because it was meant to be a burial. And this was actually one of the first ones where the king was supposed to be buried inside of the pyramid instead of just in the ground next to the pyramid, um, which may or may not have happened. We still don't know. Uh, but yeah. So pretty interesting. That's okay. So yeah, I would say Neil's substantially wrong there, but still okay, whatever. This one, this is the most egregious thing so far. The blind as a bat thing. I can't I can't forgive you. What are you even fucking talking about? I know he likes to post this kind of stuff on Twitter as like a profound statement, which oh shit. Okay, I gotta stop this video. I gotta get up. I can't. Uh, Possible trajectory. I don't know anything about trajectories. Neil probably knows way more about that than me. 5 points. Sorry, little burp there again. Sorry. 5 points of Lagrange essay. Oh, what is this? What's Lagrange? This has something to do with astrophysics. Gravity falls exponentially with distance. Does it not? Wait. Uh, Population is made exponential in general term for dramatic change, but it's over art. Oh, okay. So it's the okay. Gravity falls with the inverse square of distance, not exponent. Oh, okay. All right. That okay. That's fair. Okay. Yeah. The exponent kind of made okay. Kind of made me, and that probably made Neil think the same. I'm guessing made him think the same thing that it's like exponentially weaker, which like Neil would know this. He's an astrophysicist, right? But he should know. I'm pretty sure he's talked about inverse square stuff before too, when it comes to like light and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure he knows that because it's like over r squared, which makes it sound like it's exponentially, but it's an inverse square, so it's not exponentially. It's uh, fair, fair. You got me there. Arthur C. Clarke was the first to calculate altitude of geosynchronous. Arthur C. Clarke wasn't that a sci-fi author? The first novel, A Full of Moon Dust. Yeah, he was an author. Okay. Uh, Suggesting they be placed in geosynchronous orbit. Fantastic idea. But he wasn't the first to calculate the altitude of GSOs. Okay. All right. Well, that okay. That's all right. That's fair. Whoa, hold on here. Whoa. All right. Now we're talking about something I know a little bit about. All right. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Here we go. Obama authorized North Korea, sorry, sanctions over cyber hacking. Solution there seems to me is create unhackable systems. Tell me that's a joke. Tell me that's a joke. That's yeah, right. Oh my gosh, why didn't the cybersecurity folks ever think of that? Tell me that's a joke. Twitchy published some good. Oh, let's look at this. I mean, yeah. Why don't we just make an unhackable system, guys? Like, what are we doing over here? They just keep hacking us. Like, what? Oh no! What are we doing here? Yeah. Okay. Um. Wait. That wasn't the same quote, was it? Oh, notice I didn't do his thing again. Whoa. No, deGrasse Tyson's wisdom was inspiring and contagious. Oh, okay. This is a okay, not him. Also, how about a new type of dog that poops money? Hey, I'm just an idea guy. You scientists work out the details. Oh shit! I think an answer to time travel is a time travel system of some sort. Are you hired at the science factory? We might have to end it here. This is too good. I don't know if I can do any better than this. Tornadoes? Answer to me, or the answer, it seems to me, is that Bill Nye the Science Guy trapped them in 2-liter Coke bottles, then blew them up with Mentos. Solution, it seems to me, is genetically engineered cancer-proof humans. Yeah, that'll do it. Solution, it seems to me, is to convince ISIS that they are wrong and should embrace universal love and science. Oh dear. Solution, seems to me, is to create foods that make farts smell like roses. Oh no. Solution, seems to me, is clone Carl Sagan and let him produce a Cosmos remake that isn't a bad cartoon about evil inquisitors. Solution, seems to me, is that babies and puppies should be house trained in the womb. Sorry, I was just imagining women like pregnant with dogs and kids at the same time. Oh God, and they're both like getting house trained in the. Oh no! All right. I gotta. Oh no, I gotta stop somewhere. Let's see if we find another good one here. Necco wafers. uh, okay, this is pretty good. There were 30,800 fatal car crashes in the USA during 2012. Solution there seems to me it's a great crash proof cars. Oh no. Oh, too good. Okay, that was too good. All right. Unhackable systems. All right. So let's get to I don't Coriolis force in naval battles, football. I'm sure this is great. Rotates to yep. Yep. You guys can go. I'll actually I'll post the link in the description of this video. Please go check it out. This has been fun. Let's get to what the wait, brick helicopters. Oh, Chuck Nice is the guy on Star Talk. I love Chuck. Chuck is great. FYI, he used to be on there was this show on I'm going to get this wrong. There was a show it was on True TV, which was what Court TV became after Court TV kind of ended. It became True TV, and they were like not reality, actuality, but it was still just the same fake bullshit. And and they had Impractical Jokers on there. They had a couple other okay shows. Um, but there was one, I think it was on True TV, where they put up like videos of people doing stupid shit, and they had like comics, a bunch of different comics, and different people like comments on it. And Chuck Nice was on there. I always remember from that show, and but I love Chuck. He's really funny, and he's just so goofy and like lovable and innocent. You're just like, oh my god, Chuck, Chuck, what are you talking about? I love you, but what the fuck are you talking about? All right, Neil deGrasse Tyson talking to Chuck. FYI, an airplane whose engine fails as a glider. Uh, not necessarily. They don't have. I don't think most airplanes have as high of a glide coefficient as an actual glider. Gliders tend to have a really high glide coefficient compared to airplanes, which are expected to have an engine. They can glide, but but that okay. So it gets worse. It gets worse. A helicopter whose engine fails is a brick. I don't even have to look any farther. I know what this is talking about. Uh, Helicopters do not just fall out of the sky when their engine fails. They will do what's called auto rotation. So they will start to spin, and using the braking system on the whatever I don't know the exact parts of a helicopter, but on the thing that gets into the air, when you actually turn that, it's a manual, doesn't need any power. You can turn it manually, and you can actually cut into the air and control the spin of the helicopter to actually turn it into a sort of glider to bring it down. Um, so it's a yeah, it's a there's a whole process there. Helicopters are so weird compared to airplanes. They're really good. Comparing a helicopter to an airplane is kind of like comparing an airplane to a glider that has a parachute. It's so much different than yeah. Anyway, that may even be stupid, but I just helicopter blades will continue rotating after engine failure, descending through the air at an angle, can spin up the blades, leveling off just before reaching the ground, making for a soft landing. This is true. There's a whole process to it. Oh yeah, smarter every day. Yeah, I'm sure I've seen that video before. Smarter every day. I like Destin. I like his videos. They're always fun. Um, NASA's $1 million space pen. Oh, I don't even have to look at it. I don't have to look at it because it's so. I'm sure he's going to say, "Do you know what the Russians did? They used a pencil." And then, of course, the answer is, "Well, pencils can create graphite dust, which can burn up in 100% oxygen atmosphere. So why would you do that?" Yeah, you guys know the answer to this if you've heard anything about this shit. Urban legend debunks. There's a Scientific American article. You can look at all this. GMO because artificial selection. Not really. It's kind of there. Right. Okay. Anyway, look it up. Don't care. We're moving on. Do I have any water left? Because I spilled it all. Mm. And I'm about to die of thirst because I've been talking my ass off for an inordinate amount of time. Deflate gate. Oh, the whole yeah, the Patriots football. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Tyson's rocket equation. Oh God. Okay. You guys can look all this up. The reason that I was originally sent this was here we go. So here we go for the finale. We're gonna. So here's all the other ones we didn't get to. If you want to check that out, painful sex would make a species go extinct. Uh, no, no. Earth is smoother than a billiard ball. Oh, I don't know about that one. No, I couldn't tell you. NASA invented cordless power tools. All right, so here we go. Modern nuclear weapons would have no nuclear fallout. The last one that was put on this list. Uh, Obviously, you've got some interesting things here that if you want to, you can look into. I'm not going to get into all that. It's not really my place to get into that. Uh, so modern nuclear weapons would have no fallout. During an interview with Bill Maher, we can might be able to take a look at this here. So it's not too long. Okay, it's not too bad. So let's just go through this. I'm gonna grab a drink of water real quick.
Well, plus modern nukes don't have the radiation problem. Just to be clear.
Really?
you'll still blow to smithereens, but yeah, it's a different kind of weapon than the Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Nuclear weapons, if they're exploded, don't have a radiation problem?
Not if it's a hydrogen bombs. No, not in the way that we used to have to worry about it with fallout and all the rest of that. What you really have to worry about is being vaporized, and after that, if you're not vaporized, blown to bits by the shock wave. That's a way bigger problem that you're going to have.
Well, I'm not worried about that
No,
problem.
you're not worried about.
Okay, so I don't know where it goes from there. I've seen this clip before though. This is the original context of the thing that the comment that Hop David left me, and it is oh shit. Where are we here? I'm lost. Okay, this is clearly wrong. Hydrogen nuclear weapons don't have radiation fallout. There is no way that we know of, and this is the sort of the crux of the original video that we were discussing, like the nuclear fusion. The crux of that was that nuclear fusion ignition has never been started on Earth aside from a fission bomb. Basically, we don't know how to do it. We just we've tried to do it sort of with inertial confinement, which is sort of related to gravitational confinement and magnetic confinement, but they're still not 100% efficient. Like the ignition doesn't take into account all of the power that comes from the electrical grid and all that. So it's not viable to actually generate like energy for the electrical grid. Of course, um, maybe one day it could be, but not yet. And that was kind of the point. But he says there's no fallout, and this was really Hop David's original thing. There's no fallout problem with modern hydrogen nuclear weapons. And there is. I mean, there still is. It's the same fallout problem you have with anything else. Um, when you so fusion weapons are initiated with a fission weapon. So if you have a fission core, that usually there's so there's an initial like in the middle. There's like a fusion core, and that's a very usually that doesn't take too much, and then you get this outer sort of thing of that causes fusion. I think they call it like a nuclear. What it was a tamper, something like that. I can't remember the exact. I think it's called a fissile tamper. Uh, no, no. So they no. I'm sorry. That's the second fission explosion. So I was so it's so you're crushed. So you're basically creating this implosion that creates a fission explosion, which then in the center will crush down the actual fusion part, generate a fusion explosion, which generates another fission explosion from the nuclear tamper, which then can also be used to create another fusion explosion. It's sort of like an onion that kind of goes in and out of itself. It's very strange, but there are other videos you can go look up on this. In fact, there's a really good video. If you've never seen it, but okay, so let me get to the end here. I'll link that in this video as well, but I'll mention it before I leave. Um, the fallout comes from the fission byproducts, which every time there's a fission reaction, whether it's from a reactor, whether it's just naturally in the ground, fission reactor, fission bomb, anything, including a fusion bomb where you need fission to initiate the fusion, uh, you're going to have nuclear fallout. The nuclear byproducts. Those byproducts, they are pretty heavy, but they can get up in the upper atmosphere. They can get blown around by the air currents and actually carried, kind of dispersed over a wide area. If you detonate the device too low, it will pick up soil, other debris, all that kind of stuff. They call it a ground burst versus an air burst. That ground burst can then pick up nuclear fission byproducts like cesium 137, strontium 90, that kind of stuff, and they can disperse it in a much smaller area because those byproducts get mixed in with the soil, concrete, all that kind of stuff. Whatever you picked up from the ground, and it can get dispersed over a much smaller area because it's not going as far up in the atmosphere. It's not getting blown around by wind currents and all that. And it's also going to just kind of fall down a lot quicker over a smaller area. So, um, anytime you have a nuclear explosion, it will have fallout because we cannot create a pure fusion device. We just don't know how to do it. So I think the cobalt bomb may have been one that I think some people still talk about that is almost like pure radiation that doesn't involve like an actual explosion. But that's sort of the opposite of what we're talking about here. Here we're talking about just an explosion with no radiation type thing left over. It doesn't really matter. Honestly, you're really not going to have that big of a deal. Most nuclear bombs, like actually, here's Tyler Fultz right here. T Fultz nuclear. No, nukes aren't as scary as you think. Uh, eh, this guy tends to give a lot of good information about nukes. Very, very down to earth kind of guy. You're not gonna have a nuclear winter. That was an old idea from the Cold War that is just not realistic. Um, you're not gonna have this like long, maybe like 5 to 10 years from a bunch of nukes going off is the longest you're gonna have to wait to actually re-inhabit that area. It really depends on what the nukes are, how they're detonated, all that sort of thing. But most of the hype about nuclear winter and nukes in general, they're kind of overhyped. I mean, it's just not there. But yes, Neil is definitely wrong here that fusion bombs cannot drop fallout. They absolutely will. I mean, it happens. Whether it's airburst or not, it will still drop fallout. But airburst is going to be a lot safer compared to a ground burst in that it will not drop nearly as much fallout. So Hiroshima, Nagasaki, they were airburst. They didn't have as big of a problem with fallout, but there was still some fallout. So it's not like an unheard of thing. You're still going to get some fallout. It's just they weren't ground burst devices, which can be they a lot more fallout. So if you just drop the bomb on the ground, let it explode, you're gonna have a ton of fallout. So uh, yeah, that's kind of the thing there. The only video I wanted to show, there's a great video. Actually, I think it's a two-parter. Uh, okay. So if I just look this up on YouTube, I'm probably gonna get flagged by the FBI or something. How to build a nuke. This is not. This is not probably not the title of the video, but um, there's a great video by this one guy. I think he's. Oh, is it this guy? Yeah, yeah, right here, right here. This is it. Nuclear 101: How Nuclear Bombs Work, Part One of Two, and this is from 12 years ago. Great video, and it's two parts. It's from the Belfer Center. I'll link this below. This is from Matthew Bunn. I believe, he has a top secret security clearance. This guy knows bombs, and he will not talk about some things because it's classified. He just can't talk about it. But he goes through a lot of details that are all public that he can actually talk about. Wonderful lecture. It's a two-part thing here, and you should honestly watch it. That actually right there is a thermonuclear weapon, so you can see. Yeah, it's a little different from a regular sort of nuclear bomb, fission bomb. If you've ever seen the internals of a fission bomb, but yeah, this is a great resource. If you aren't sure, like the overview type thing, this is a great resource right here. All this other shit, I mean, look, there's 5 minutes. Like this guy is over 2 hours talking about nuclear bombs. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So I will link this below I'll link both videos below, and along with Hop David's list here, fact checking Neil deGrasse Tyson from what now over 10 years ago. A little recognition. Probably doesn't need my help, but it's just he just happened to post it. And I'm like, I mean, go on, man. Carl Sagan's critics were wary of pop science. I mean, for good reason. But honestly, Carl Sagan probably wrote a better sci-fi book than Neil deGrasse Tyson ever could. So I'm going to do a video on Carl Sagan's Contact soon because I feel like it's such a good look at sci-fi, hard sci-fi, and yet still an exploratory sort of what if sort of sci-fi, which is really cool. So yeah, I'll get into all that at some point. If you've been tuning in for this long, we're at over an hour and a half. I hope you enjoyed. If you can watch 2 hours on nuclear bombs, you got to be able to watch an hour and a half about me just rambling on. Maybe not. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? I'm not your dad. I could be, but probably not. So you gotta have a good night. Enjoy. Go check out this list and these videos. I'll post them below. Neil, stop spreading the misinformation, man. Come on. All right. Peace.